So those of you that are watching this, just remember, my worm business is in a garage. Some of you guys are watching this saying, oh, I'll never be able to get 8 acres like David and Renee. This is where they're at, and one day you might be here. But keep on going and keep making mistakes. We're about to go into the refinement of all the mistakes. So you guys lead the way.
Subscribe now, and then head over to wormpeople.com to jumpstart your worm farming journey.
Here we go.
Welcome, welcome.
So first thing you'll see here is we've got our rack system for the worm breeding. And that's how the refinement of many months of trial and error. But what we found is, where you've heard us mention that before, we relied on homemade compost, old-fashioned way of balancing browns and grains, nitrogen, and it all prepped. You know, about halfway through our journey, what we found is we enrolled in Dr. Langham's soil food web course. We got certified through a program, learned really everything there was to learn about soil science and the different microbes that are active in soil. And when we started applying that ourselves and testing both our compost, the castings we made from our compost, and then the castings we started to make from our cardboard lines, we found that regardless of the inputs, our outputs were consistently high in all microbes, especially the difficult to get ones like the beneficial nematodes, the protozoa, the fungi. So we decided that as great as it was to make this high quality compost that still tested high with good numbers, we just figured, why not save ourselves the backbreaking labor, the shoveling and the working, still work with waste streams, and basically kind of take our full operation, climate controlled indoors, and small units. So we can kind of show you, I got a little demo bag here. This is really what we start with. So we work with, we have just regular old paper shredders, and we go to our waste facility. We collect just shredded cardboard, or we collect cardboard that we shredded ourselves. And we soak that for about 3 days, strain it off, blend it with biochar, which is this charcoal that we process here. We add some old worm castings into the equation to kind of zhuzh it up with microbes from the beginning. And then the worms are added with the last ingredient, which is this peat moss. Peat moss is the only non-renewable part of this whole process. We found it's kind of necessary, at least in some quantity. But really a big aim of the last few months has been to try and minimize the amount of peat moss that we can and boost it with the cardboard, which has had really good results. Quality has just been consistent and really high, but so we like to say this is our starting material. You can see it's just a real rough chop. There are a lot of benefits I could get into about keeping it a little coarser. You get worms that crawl in those corrugations, and we seem to have, you know, it's subjective, but we can tell you the amount of worms we get by adding in cardboard about halfway through the process really seems to have made a difference. So this is how worming tip for you. Yeah, so you can see that from the coarse dry cardboard, after about 8 weeks, we're left with is a bin that's loaded up with just 100% slack gold worm castings. And see, we got worms popping all out here too, but usually we get it.
David, can I look at that for a minute?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good one right there.
So that's all cardboard?
Pretty much, about 100%.
Look at that. That was cardboard. Just 3 weeks? Is it 3 weeks?
2 months, actually.
Okay, two months.
You can get castings like this in 3 weeks. What we'd actually do is, at about 3-4 weeks, they consumed all the cardboard. It starts to look like this. And then we add in, for our breeding operation, another half gallon of the coarse cardboard, just because it gives them that extra window.
Let it down again, soak it first.
Exactly.
That's unbelievable. Some people listening are having a hard time believing that was cardboard two months ago, but that was cardboard 2 months ago, and today it's a rich fertilizer that has there's more stuff in my hands than there was that went into the worms, but came out richer than it went in. That is phenomenal, David. What a great job you've done.
Yeah, you know, we visit your farm pretty often. Not much of a poster, but I'm trying to be more fun. But, you know, we get some really cool numbers when we look at this. So first we were nervous. You know, we're going from this rich compost we're hand making. It's, you know, looks almost like the worm castings to then this cardboard method. But really, the numbers just are so reliable that it was hard to hype ourselves up to keep doing the heavy lifting out there when we have such an efficient way to do this and still kind of solve some of those problems.
What's in here right now? The weight, I'm going to guess, about 10 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you, gallon-wise, what do you have there?
And so we start out with a gallon of bedding all told, and we add in a quarter pound of worms. By the time we sift it, we never have less than half a pound of adult worms, but usually it's closer to...
How does that happen? You put in a quarter pound, you come out with rich fertilizer, and you come out with a half a pound.
Not like that.
I'm a magician.
I'm telling you, it's these African night crawler worms.
That's
are
phenomenal.
the next level when worm farming. So
Phenomenal.
really, the only big criteria is that you're going to need a place that's not going to get below 50 degrees, or if it is, you need to have serious bulk so that your worms can go into a center of mass and not...
Right, but with your system, it has to stay never below 50.
Yeah. No, we're lucky that even on the coldest days here, where it's pushing 40, you know, just like much for you guys. But in here, it's never lower than a 65.
Right.
And they like it hot. The hotter, the better. We get our best results when they're 78, 82 degrees, that kind of rough area. So it's not unbearable for us working in here. It's fascinating. And, you know, the other thing is we get that doubling of the population, and that does not include the baby worms. So we actually sift out the adults. We got all this sellable products, you know, they're fattened up and ready to be packed up. But when we sift it again on our 1/8-inch screen, you get what's here. And this is entirely babies. It's everywhere. We pull more tray. The stuff that goes through, you know, we package to sell, but then, you know, this will have about 10 pounds of worms in it, too. That's not much longer. And so we're still kind of trying to figure out how to take care of the cocoons in addition to these, how, like, really the only problem we have is just we have so many worms. It's like it kind of cracks the code, and now it's an overabundance and trying to... So what we've been doing is we sell castings that are sifted at a finer grade, or, you know, they're pretty and clean and used to work with, but we also sell castings that are sifted at a rougher sieve. And I just wanted to say real quick that, you know, part of the experimenting and tinkering and getting it figured out to the method that we have now is really because we wanted to be able to show people how easy it is to replicate this home. You don't need to have a compost pile in your backyard. You don't need to, you know, be worrying about all these stinky inputs. So as you can see, everything's on wheels. Our biggest thought in designing our interior space was we don't want to be lugging a bunch of heavy buckets of 50, 60 pounds of castings around. So we were able to locate these. We already have some. We had to get extra shelves for them so we can access the storage space. But outside of that, there was very little in the way of retrofitting or anything like that. We got these black bus tubs.
Can an old man move this? Oh, wow.
Absolutely. We have two of us that shouldn't like that. And then the real work that we get doing this is that weekly we pull these down. We did what with 16 of them. So yeah, it's really, so you can see that it's really not too much of a hassle. And we've kind of been experimenting too with, you know, we were regularly feeding them twice a week. Their diet of, we use a blend. The majority of it is rain-based. And then we have a mill, just a little plug into the wall, and we blend that all down and powder it, and everyone gets the scoop, and we just dust the top and load it back up. And
awesome.
We have found you know, obviously, if you're getting worms, to get rid of your waste in the house, organic waste, you know, definitely feed them all your waste. They'll love it. They'll thrive. But for the commercial side of things, having the consistency of the dried meat is just, you know, I would never go back to trying to mess around with banana peels and whatnot. And here, just because we've dealt with bugs in the past, and
you only have so much time in a day, and you've got to use your time properly to use your space properly. How many, you know, what do we have? 27?
Yeah, so this is 3 by 9, so 27 bins. And so once a week, we kind of go wall to wall, get them all loaded up, tucked back in, and then once the week 2, we'll get it set up right next to our Supplier, and these dry bins, I mean, you can really see how airy.
You guys have just set it up so that you take the labor out of it, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I know you work hard, but what we used to do, carry, you know, 36-pound buckets, and you got to get to a science where, and mathematically set this thing up so that you can do this and really come out with products. Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah, we were looking online. Most indoor bins are living more about this size.
Yeah, fighting every one of those around.
Yeah, and you might not want to have 160 of these if you're trying to do it yourself, but managing a handful of these bus-sized ones is a lot easier to kind of drag this in and out.
Yeah, but you just start with 160. You know, it's a progression. You know, as the worms keep multiplying, you have a decision to make. I'm going to the worm selling business now, or we just keep multiplying until we get to that comfortable place where we say we can manage this, and that's the important thing. So you may look and say, David or Renee, I want to do it just like them. No, you better do it just like you can do it and make it work for you, because this is what they're doing. I'm doing something different. We're all different. Make it work for you, because if you do that, we'll stay in the worm business a whole bunch longer. Really exciting.
We started, we had the racks pretty much made up. We started with a full rack, just about. But then 2 months, we had 3. Just under 3. And then another 2 months to 4 months total from one rack. We had this whole section. So it really moves fast. So if you understand and you're knowing they're happy, you know, just keep with faith and settle. That you can understand really quick if you find out you got an ask for it or you just roll over.
Yeah. So, Dave, product line here. Yeah, tell us about it. So,
really?
Tell me, I want to hear about this one.
Absolutely. We are selling worms, but in addition, we're selling worm breeding kits. It kind of takes the bulk of the worry out of the equation of trying to slip a worm pick yourself. And instead of selling tea, we decided to take a different approach and design what we consider to be our best small-scale worm brewing system, tea brewing system. And so we have here a just little aquarium that is cured to the bottom in the center of this here. And when you fire it up, they can add a couple worm castings to the top here. We have this tiny mesh bag. Fill it all the way up with 5 gallons of water. Now, if you don't have access to chlorinated water, you're going to want to fill it with water before you add worm castings to it. And then let it bubble for a few hours, 8 hours minimum. But then just add those castings right in. And this thing, an unlimited supply of warranty is from a pretty small amount of castings. If we can guarantee has all the right stuff in it, is aerobic and great for your plants. You can spray it on their leaves, you can spray it in their roots, and sell a lot of it on it.
The tea is sort of the way to go. But again, like David said, 24 to 48 hours, and then, you do not see more microbial. So for us, the DIY all we can use those fresh castings. Grew up on the spot. We shipping it angry box. I agree. I could say pretty like a foliar spray. I didn't really know that much about it until we started the Dr. Ingham's soil food web class, and it's remarkable. I mean, especially down here in Florida, we have citrus rain. we will go with our fruit trees. We'll give it a bit spray either early morning, later in the evening, out of the hot temps of the day. And within 24 hours, the trees, they will tell you that they're just doing so much better. The leaves are thicker and greener. They become uncurled and no pests. So we definitely, this is days and veg, and I just say it's the best.
Dave, this kit is awesome. But let everyone know exactly I've been there.
Yeah. So, I really am trying to design something that we can give to people that's no must. We're, pretty hands-off. What we realized was that we could just try to replicate what we do with these bins pretty much one-to-one. So the ratios, the inputs, everything is pretty much the same. So you'll get the box. In the box will come the shredded cardboard. Don't throw this away because it's part of the system, but it also helps to ensure the worms travel safe. They will be sold in the bag here with as PFAS, dry PFAS knowledge, to make sure that they can ship as not get damage for a PFAS blended with the quarter pound worms. There's 3/4 to shredded cardboard in the bag. We make our own biochar here on farm, and so we supply biochar. It's grit, so the glass of something in the really signature repeating into the cardboard here, and then we also this out, and we must include just small layer worm castings that you can blend right into a quart and a half of water.
That's awesome. Now, Dave brings a bag in here, I do?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now you could eat like us, you go out and get up a post like you see or any other plastic container, Cupware. Really, just about anything will work. But what we offer in addition to kits, it is just a forever-old water-proof plastic bag. And what we tell people is that take the box you have it in, you can kind of just like climbing in a trash cans. Then it's just for big waterproofs. And then literally dump that cardboard, keep worms, write it in with your water. You know, on give it a slightness. But then it also includes bag worms trellis to the quart, and this will last you at least 10 months.
And it was so unique, not the same. Instead of whoever orders this, and everything right there. You don't have to go to Home Depot and get anything else. That's the genius. And I'm not going to order one coming to get home.
Absolutely. And now, too, everyone knows how long this is, and everyone pretty much has the set of sticking on a cardboard.
This is cool.
Big guns.
Yeah, that is.
But this is a 3 gallons, Pepsi.
Yeah, really nice, like 4 mil.
Yeah, that many used your sack was true. We liked that we were able to get this clear bag. I think it's kind of cool to be transparent, show people what they got. We almost sell it with labeling. We really want to sell the tea labeling. We sell it in our nice labels to kind of market and get out there, but we also are trying to encourage, as we do the teas, where we'll brew teas every Friday, we're trying to encourage people locally to come and get it. If you got a 5-gallon bucket, if you've got a milk jug, whatever you got, we want to be able to supply you with high quality tea.
Let me just say this again about this whole setup. These guys have been doing this for 2 years. After the 2 years, I could have the knowledge to set up that you guys have. It would be a long time to figure all this out. But you guys have really nailed real fast. And there's a lot of people that are watching this that are going to be encouraged by that. Because when you went through the trial and error, try this, try that, they got a picture now. Within, as you said, within 4 to 6 months, you could have been ready for the market. So in other words, this isn't like, 6 years from now, maybe I'll make some money. No, 4 months from now, maybe you'll be making some money. That's just really exciting. Hats off to you, man. I didn't really have to.
Well, thank you very much. That really is a huge part of kind of why we ever got into this. Just showing people how not to make our mistakes. It's just nice to know that we could be helping encourage this whole community and industry and turn it, crank it up a little bit.
Awesome.
And so we obviously are nerds here. If we're enthusiasts and soil enthusiasts, really want to be learning about how to make the best possible worm tea. It is a little different and you might expect where you just put the intestines in the water and ruin it. I mean, you can do that and you have a pretty good product. But what we have found, just in experimenting, is that as we test their teas, high in bacteria, high in protozoa, high in nematodes, and a decent amount of fungi too, but we were losing some fungi through our straining tools that we used to process. And so we also here love mushrooms. I grew oyster mushrooms and king stropharis. To do that, you have to culture mycelium. And so we also make these precious generalized just without mason jars. These are essentially liquid petri dishes that we isolate mycelium that is beneficial to plants to grow it in culture and take it out. But as we brew our teas, we strain out everything, all of our worm castings, so that I can use it as straight equipment. But that right before we dish out, we add an additional 600 liters of basically extremely potent, beneficial mycelium. Especially with our fruit trees, anything that's mulched and emulsion or everything in your garden, the addition of the mycelium just really helps keep the microbes happy, breaks down the mulch on the underside so that it's leaching nutrients to your plants. And then, yeah, the benefit for us, since these are the species, we find we pick oysters out of our gardens. Not something a lot of people do, not something that you have to do. So ever since we started watching Have to Head on YouTube, we've been jealous of the broccoli. And when we first started out, we had no certificate of any kind, and we were hand-picking worms. And we quickly realized that was not going to work. But we made a manual rolling sifter. We just constantly seeing that rockwood and that style. We thought, well, if we can't afford it now, we might as well make it as close to one as we can. And so this is kind of the result of that. We have quarter-inch hardware flop here. We secure it. Just look at these little lifts here. We had this little jet ski trailer with the plastic rim on it. And this was all just with parts we already had. And then the investment of one of these vibrating motors here, which we got any of this on. It's not very expensive, and it is more than enough to really get this whole thing rocking. This is pretty much the exact same design, and it's a little larger, a little wider, and it actually shakes a little harder. So we have this kind of cover that goes over it so nothing blows out the top. But again, just wood frame, 1/8 inch screen, and securing it with grease and glue.
And so for today's purposes, the demonstration, we'll go ahead and sift one bin. But typically, we're on an 8-week schedule. So what we would do is we would, whatever rack is up, wheel it into place. We have tried pretty much every kind of system. This is the one that works best for us.
So every week, sift 27 bins. So we have 6 racks, which we kind of intentionally timed so that after we've done 6 weeks of going dry, we kind of got a 2-week break.
Nice.
A little bit, and in the future, we might make additional tweaks and changes, but if you're trying to start out and you pay the manual on and you just, it's not doing it for you, dump it in, and we got a dumper and a sweeper. So
I'm the dumper.
So you can see this is 100% worth.
Cooking lobster tonight for dinner?
Could we have a quarter of the casting for both downs, and then the boiler is fixed, so there's a dinner. So you got real good air flow. With really murky, one thing that people kind of emphasize is really want a lot of air flow. So we call it like the rolling oil, but when you look at it, you can really see it's current and all everything. And before we ship it, what we try to do, and it's not every time, but we will add the unsweetened mycelium, as I mentioned before. Growing 2 weeks. We feel kind of like living cloud in there. You know, this is oyster mushroom, so it's one of the most aggressive mushroom species out there. They will eat anything. They even done some studies where they show that it can eat plastic.
We're here with Renee and David at the Dirty Worm Composting right outside of Orlando, Florida. The progression that they've gone through in a 2-year period is phenomenal. This is David and Renee, and Jude is with us today also. And so we're just going to talk about their journey a little bit. So Jude's got some questions, guys.
How'd you kind of get started in like farming worms?
First of all, I'm just going to take an opportunity real quick. We were joking just off camera that David said a year ago, you know what, Captain Matt is going to come to the farm someday and see our worms. And I laughed because you have been so instrumental to where we're at today. So thank you for that compliment, but it goes right back to you because that's kind of where it started. I mean, I had ordered a 2-pound bag of red wigglers, which we actually do African night crawlers now.
You know, with COVID too, that really kick-started our interest in the organic gardening.
Yeah.
So even before worms, we had kind of that bug, but it wasn't until, and we have some beehives here that we started working with beforehand. But we were noticing that even with all the benefits that came with having bees and, you know, as our gardens were starting to take off, oh, you know, it was fantastic to see the rate of pollination and all that, but there was a missing ingredient. We were total beginners at that point with organic gardening, period. So we knew organic fertilizers, you gotta put something in. We didn't know what we were doing. And it wasn't until we started experimenting with the worms, we got the first 2 pounds, we started making castings, that instantly it was like the connection was made. This was the missing ingredient. You need healthy soil to make organic gardening work, but getting that healthy soil is not that hard. It got us just so juiced and excited to start expanding the amount of castings we were making. And then obviously we hit a few road bumps in figuring out the worming journey and expanding it to a commercial operation and all that was involved with that. But really, ever since we first started seeing the benefits of it, it was instantaneous. Like, this is something we want to work with.
I mean, and there's so much value in the composting your food waste. We believe in that wholeheartedly. Yep. But as new gardeners, I would like to say we're pretty seasoned gardeners now, but that's through the help of the castings and the tea. I mean, it kind of makes it, I don't want to say dummy proof, but for someone like myself who I love plants, I want them healthy and happy, I was just amazed. Yeah. You use it, it's all natural. You know, we got a lot of issues with our aquifer right now. It's under pressure and we got, you know, algae blooms. So to me, to find something for my family, for the health of the lake and the people and critters that live out here, having something all natural, non-toxic to the wildlife, to children, to pets.
Yeah,
and
all
it
around.
Works.
Yeah,
it works so well.
Yeah,
so.
And you know, when we started doing the videos and got to a place where we saw our mission as education, you know, we would sit back from time to time and say, "Oh boy, look at that! Look at them! Look at them!" And you know, we were looking at some people that were telling the same story that you're telling, or you know, a similar story. But today we're looking at you guys saying, "Wow, look at that!" You know, and we got to play a part of it, and that is so, you know, that's just really wonderful. And,
well, you started the Worm People movement, and that to me was access to your information, and you can see how that's grown. I mean, we really, back at you, appreciate what you've given to all of us, because there was not a lot out there in the beginning.
And vice versa, because without Worm People, you know, where are we?
Yeah,
and you guys are such an encouragement to so many other people. When they watch that video inside, I can hear voices saying, "We can do that. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that." And David and Renee are saying, "Yeah, you can if you willing to suffer a little.
But truly, I mean, and anything that's ordered from us, we want to be as transparent and as educationally minded as well. So it's in my best interest, David's best interest, that our beloved worms go to people that will appreciate them and know how to take care of them, and that cycle can just continue and grow. Because once people start talking to their friends and neighbors, it's just like next thing you know, the whole block has worms.
Right.
And using those castings in the garden, we always say, you have to feed the soil, because it's the actual soil that's feeding your plants. If you want to have that apple taste like a great apple, tomato, etc., but just try the castings.
Yeah.
Try it.
Absolutely.
You won't be
Tomato
disappointed.
tastes like a tomato instead of a piece of plastic.
When we first started exploring on YouTube and stuff, trying to get a base of education, obviously your videos were tremendously helpful, but there were a certain amount of videos you see that hit the start a worm farm and instantly make 6 figures,
Yeah.
It's just that easy. And
Oh, yeah.
as we were struggling, a lot of the times we look at each other and say, geez, well, it doesn't seem like 6 figures is around the corner. Really, it is something that now that we've spent enough time, we know our systems, that's not an unachievable goal.
Right.
What we don't want to do is mislead people who are complete newbies like we were into this idea that, oh, you're just instantly going to get it and make no mistakes and have a thriving business. It takes a lot of work, blood, sweat, and tears, but now that we've done it, just every mistake we've made, knowing that we could help keep some people away from making those same mistakes, is like very deeply satisfying as someone who just loves the work of it.
Truly.
You guys just drew a line for people, a fast track line. Not that it's fast, not that it's not painful, not that there's not a lot of work in it, but you've shown that it's this simple if you're willing to work, if you're willing to get over the hurdles, if you're willing to cry a little bit, and have to think and get creative with your marketing, and then continue to to have that vision. Can keep that vision alive, and you guys have so much to keep it alive with. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I know you guys have probably encountered like multiple challenges in your worm farming journey. What's like one of them that you've encountered, and how did you overcome it?
We've definitely hit hurdles, and each kind of one you aren't expecting, but I would say that having a timeline for where you want to be is something that I, in the past, wish that we had maybe honed in more on. I mean, I have no regrets, but we definitely, really just education, I think, is the biggest thing. Knowing what you're getting into, knowing why when it works, and why when it's failing, and then just trying to be creative and step around those problems is the best advice I can give, because we started thinking that we were going to be collecting worm tea straight from our containers. Then we started doing more reading. We realized that really isn't the way to go. You want to, have a whole different operation. And then, so we pivoted to doing CFTs, and instantly making all this castings. Worms are happy, but then it comes time to shoveling out 100 gallons of castings in one go, and we're dying in the heat. Okay, how can we make this manageable, efficient? We're not going to break our backs. We're still going to get high yield. It kind of seems like it's like that heat-seeking missile every second.
Yeah.
You gotta readjust, course correct, get closer and closer. And then you kind of get into the groove of it, and really, it's, you can start seeing farther and farther ahead.
David was really instrumental for Dirty Worm Composting and coming up with what we call the systems. We keep saying systems, but, whereas I would originally, grab a handful of cardboard, always soaked, by the way. Oh, but throwing in that, David say, wait a minute, let's measure this. And then it's that McDonald's replicatable.
Yeah.
And things like we were talking, this is nature, so things will pop up. I think between the education and the systems, we've really been able to kind of snap it all together and make it a real,
you've done a great job.
thing.
So, what keeps you guys motivated?
The worms for me. Just the worms, but go ahead.
From my side of things, just seeing everything thrive as much as it has. I think we knew that we were making a product and it works, and we're growing these worms, and
It's very satisfying to watch them grow and be happy and healthy. But more than just even the direct what's going on with the worms, you know, watching our gardens, our trees, watching birds and insects come back and in bigger numbers than before, and not mosquitoes and flies, but, you know, dragonflies and butterflies and all kinds of interesting, you know, down here we get lizards that eat the insects. It's the whole web of life starts coming out, and it's just great to see it. And also knowing that, you know, everything that we're doing here is taking waste out of a system of just massive waste that there really doesn't seem to be much in the way of solving. Knowing that, you know, every week we basically are taking hundreds of pounds of waste and putting it to use and making something valuable and cool.
I love the idea of the fact that we're keeping stuff out of the landfill. It's wonderful and it's great. But it's not only that, we're taking what was going as garbage to the landfill and turning it into a life-saving soil amendment that, you know, as you said, David, as you said, you know, just seeing how the castings changed and the teas that you're using have changed the environment around here already.
Absolutely.
And changed the insects that are here and the birds that are here, all related back to getting the soil rebuilt again and seeing real growth. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
We say, you know, the worms, obviously, they are the star in this show, but it's soil making. I mean, and I think this is going to become a very important part as we look to the future of how are we going to course correct mainstream conventional agriculture.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see the science behind it, so that's why David and I really delved deep. I mean, it wasn't just, you know, eco land restoration and permaculture, although those have been fabulous, but to understand what's going on below our feet.
This idea that whereas we've backed down on the amount of food waste we process and more focus on the paper waste now, the fact that people might watch our videos and see what we do, oh yeah, if I really want to get serious about this, I can have an unlimited supply of greens for a composting thing just by going and talking to some grocery stores.
We found locally that people are more than willing to try and help you in any way they can. I mean, everyone's really behind the movement. It's just making people aware that there are alternatives.
Yeah.
Natural, healthy alternatives.
And you know, what I'm hearing from a lot of worm people is that they have gone to stores and been rejected. And the thing is, okay, you had a rejection. You know, life is filled with rejections. Go to another store, because some stores possibly can't do it, or they don't want to do it. But there are a lot of stores. There's a lot of stuff that's going into landfills that we can get to feed worms and to make the greatest fertilizer in the world. To, you know, start to rebuild our soil. Our soils in this country are dead. Even our lawns. Take the beautiful place here. At one time, it may have been sprayed with chemical fertilizers for a few years even.
This whole area behind us, you can't see it on camera, but it's about 5 acres, and it was gray sand. It was completely cleared.
Yeah, because it was dead. Yeah. And you brought life back to it.
That biodiversity, absolutely. And it'll come back fast if you stop the spraying. I did notice, and I always try to mention it because I think it can happen, when you get away from a system where you are using your chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and you go cold turkey, you're like, I've had enough. Sometimes things might get a little bad before they get amazing. So again, as you were talking, you're really inspirational with that, Matt, and saying, don't let it get you down. Just pick it up, pivot, rethink it, it'll come. And that, you know, we didn't spray from the beginning, but I have heard it said sometimes that things will get a little but the system has to get fired up.
Right.
It's like when you're feeding chemical fertilizers to your plant, that's fast release, and a lot of it will remain unused and get washed off into, in our case, our watershed.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about the castings, especially for Florida, is it helps that water retention. It gives us more of a loamy soil, the castings do. And boy, once they really start to make those connections under our feet, that's when we started noticing the wildlife, the pollinators. the aged prairie. It's just incredible.
Yeah, and once it's used, you will recognize it.
Absolutely.
When I used only castings the first year in my gardens, I couldn't believe what I saw. I could not believe it.
It's amazing.
I'd bring people over and say, "Want to see my victory garden?" They say, "That's not a victory garden. That's so far beyond a victory garden." And it was castings.
Yeah.
It was simply instead of putting poison in your garden, put some life into your garden.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
So obviously you guys spend a lot of time with your worms. So how do you kind of like balance the worm farming with like family and like stuff?
That'd be a good one for you because you're very
Yeah,
busy.
we have kind of made worming a bit of our life. It's one of those things I just, as a hobby, get more enjoyment out of walking into the gardens and walking around the property and actually hands in the bin working with the worms than about anything else. And I'm in school to get my medical career started with this respiratory therapy, and I'm also very passionate about that. But I think in the same thing that drew me to that, which is just making a positive impact, is the same reason that I love this business. As totally far apart as the two are, it's just knowing that with this, it's like there really isn't any drawback. I mean, it's blood, sweat, and tears, but so many things. You start in with noble intentions and you kind of realize, oh yeah, but I didn't know that this was going on.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, like with the bee thing, we knew nothing about bees before we started getting into, but then you learn about the state of honey, and you learn little things like that having an overpopulation of honeybees can actually harm native bee populations. And
it's all the balance.
It's balance. And so when we found worms, and it was this thing of, okay, well, what are you doing? We're taking waste and we're turning it into a valuable resource. Okay, and that resource is not going to poison in excess or burn your plants, or, you know, it's alive and it's part, you know, there's so much, it's not also snake oil. You do see a lot of that on YouTube these days. And when we started, it was almost kind of one of those things like, is this too good to be true? But you see it under the microscope, you watch it happen. And so motivation, I think we can both agree, it's just, we just are totally addicted to
the worms.
The worm life.
We love what it can do. I can say for myself, because he is extremely busy, to answer your question, Jude, I love making this as efficient as possible. And granted, we do science and nature, but as you saw earlier in the previous video, everything we have that we can put a wheel on, we've done that.
What's one piece of advice that you wish you had when you were just starting out?
Love composting. I love seeing the process of that, but if you want to do it commercially, know that it's different from what you're doing in your backyard, and you're going to want to have consistency, like in your bedding materials. You're going to want to have consistency in your watering, in the kinds of food you're giving, how much, how often. Get all that stuff straightened out and lined up, and you will be light years ahead of where we were when we started. It took a long time to kind of get the nuances of it, but now this thing could run, you know, it does kind of run on a skeleton crew, and we kind of are excited as, you know, we get our first employee or we want to expand, figure out where you can work scale-wise, and don't overshoot, but if you can do it on a small scale, you'll be able to scale up.
This is a business that you can scale appropriately.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess my answer would be how much the worms love the cardboard. I mean, Jeff Bezos, Amazon, just letting you know, African night crawlers love cardboard, and we are doing our part, and we want to encourage. I mean, that's part of our model. I don't want to have us be that typical business person. I don't want to have to go buy a $4 jug to sell the jug with a label when someone can take a perfectly good jug, because this is, again, a local business for the most part. Bring what you have and let us get you started on this journey, because you're never going to look back and say, you know, this is only going to be a positive forward moving movement, and I am super excited to be a part of it.
Last question, where do you guys see yourselves in the future with the business?
So we've got big dreams, and you know what's really cool, we talk about this a lot, is just how many avenues there are adjacent to the worm farming.
Absolutely.
So we now know we can make really great castings. We can make a lot of worms fast. We know how to make great tea. One part that we have not gotten to yet, but we're very excited to this year kind of kick off, we really want to have what's essentially a small backyard nursery and adjacent to our worm operation. And so we've scouted out our spot for our shade house, greenhouse. We could grow 1,000 plants in a week.
The germination that we get is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was telling you, we eat a sour or star fruit, I guess it was, and spit out the 4 seeds, throw it in some castings, and next thing you know, they're sprouting their first root. So
we are really excited about trying to grow things that people want, come out and get, you know, tomato plants, pepper plants, in addition to making up a worm bin. Started right. We have a really strong passion for native plants, and we've been slowly accumulating more and more natives that also too just love castings. And talking about the convenience of having easy plants to grow, finding the right plants and then giving them the worm castings, it's as hands-off as you can get. So we have plans of growing perennial flowers and all kinds of local stuff that we can put out for people for landscaping, because especially in Central Florida, it's just, there's no shortage of good, healthy native plants that'll grow and be great for lawn.
I think we'll continue to have the farm open, limited hours, and we really want this to be a bit of a think tank. I mean, I think we talked about going and talking to UCF, their soil department, you know, getting students out here so you're not just reading it in a book. That educational part, Captain Matt, we really want, you know, you set the tone. We want to pay that forward as well.
But every time you buy the fancy garden soil, and that's $12, and then you got to buy the amendments, even the organic amendments, those are extra money.
Yep.
We make our blend, our soil blend, and we don't spend a single penny on it.
Yeah.
Outside of some charcoal that we use for biochar. It's kind of crazy that, you know, we now are kind of in a position where we could run a nursery with no cost, but us using our time and our labor to work it. So like, that's another thing. People who may not be worm people, but maybe want to start a backyard nursery as a business, don't be afraid to look to worms, not maybe on our scale, but on the scale that you can supply all of your homemade, you know, fertilizer.
We've spent, what, 3 hours together today, and if someone asked me, you know, tell me about Renee and David, where are they headed? I'd say education. Education.
I love that.
You know, they're gonna educate people. People are gonna come in and they're gonna buy your products, but then you're gonna educate them. And with the classes you guys want to do, I mean, great future. Great future.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's definitely.
Where can people find you?
So we are Dirty Worm Composting, and our website's dirtywormcomposting.com. But we also have a Facebook and an Instagram.
The farm is actually, we named it Serendipity Eco Farm because, like David said, we're really, you know, as this place continues with the success we've seen in the way of the birds, the bats, the bees, the butterflies, we really love this new perennial movement where you can start landscaping with your natural products and have great results using your native flowers. No mowing, you know, support the pollinators and give it a shot. That's what we're doing in our food forest. So we're excited to let you know how that goes.
And for anyone out there too, just so you know, please, if you are anywhere around us, look us up, contact us on Facebook. We would love to give y'all a tour and invite anyone else out to see really more in depth how everything works here.
Renee and David, thank you guys. I mean, I know you were excited about us coming, but I think we're leaving with more excitement than we're leaving you with. This is just, it's been wonderful. It's just been a real treat being with you guys, watching your progression, and we are so grateful just to be able to spend part of your day with you.
Well, you're an inspiration, and you've been in our prayers because without you, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you to you and Jude and Luke and Pam. It's been a pleasure to meet you as well, the whole Chard family. So thank you for coming, and please come back soon.
Subscribe now, and then head over to wormpeople.com to jumpstart your worm farming journey.